Our focus is going to be introducing meiosis in this video, and for our next series of videos, we're going to be going through the phases of meiosis and kind of talking about what happens when your cell needs to divide this way. So, meiosis is a form of cell division in which 4 cells are produced. So, unlike mitosis, where we're only producing 2 cells, we're producing 4 here. Meiosis is also a process that will only be done by certain organs in the reproductive system. This is not something that every cell can do. And when we're thinking about the cell cycle, we have G1, S, G2, and then we think of mitosis. But what's going to happen when we do meiosis is that it's going to replace mitosis in that cell division cycle. So we're still going to have G1, we're still going to have S, we're still going to have G2, but now we're going to do meiosis instead of mitosis. So I want to talk about some key terms that you're going to need to know. The first is gametes, and you're going to need to know somatic cells. Gametes are sex cells. These are things like sperms and eggs. These are the things that are the result of meiosis. Meiosis is trying to get gametes produced. Somatic cells are body cells. An example would be skin or liver cell. Just a normal body cell is a somatic cell. Now, we can divide cells in our body based on the number of chromosomes they have. Do they have a full set of chromosomes, or do they only have half of a set of chromosomes? We call cells that have a total full set of chromosomes diploid. Di here, this prefix meaning 2. Ploid is referring to the number of chromosomes. So a somatic cell, a body cell, is diploid. It has 2 versions of each chromosome. So we write it as 2n, and that equals a number. So we could say something like the 2n version of humans' chromosomes is 46. That's our 2n number, our diploid number. Haploid is where we only have half of the number of chromosomes found in a somatic cell. So in humans, we have 46 total chromosomes. Haploid means we only have 23 found in that cell. So we have half the number of chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes are those pairs we're going to talk about here in a second. And then we have genes, which is a sequence of DNA. And then crossing over, which is our last term here, is a special process that occurs in meiosis, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. I want to kind of compare and contrast meiosis and mitosis with you. So you might want to make a T-chart in your notes so that you have this comparison for yourself. So mitosis are genetically identical cells produced. So that means when we look at these cells, they are exact copies of each other. We have a purple chromosome, we have a red, green, blue in both cells. We also have diploid cells. So in this cell, we have a big chromosome or a long chromosome. The versions we have are the green and the purple. And we also have the little chromosome. The versions we have are red and blue. You can see here that we have each version of the big chromosome, and we have each version of the little chromosome in both cells. So we do, in fact, have diploid cells resulting here. Now remember, this cell is showing a cell that's already gone through DNA replication. That DNA replication is what gives us this X-shaped chromosome rather than this bar. It takes place throughout the organism's lifetime. That means this happens all throughout an organism's life. There's no certain period where this doesn't happen. And this is the process that we see used in asexual reproduction. Meiosis, on the other hand, produces genetically unique cells. And you can see that with the versions of the big and little chromosomes that we ended up with. Instead of ending up with both green and purple, our cells only got one version. We either got the green or the purple, which also indicates that we're haploid here. We only have one version of each chromosome. We only have one big and one little instead of both big and little versions. This takes place only in certain times of the organism's life cycle. So only when an organism has reached sexual maturity will you actually go through meiosis, and then it is involved in sexual reproduction. So now I want to clarify some things about homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes are pairs of chromosomes that are the same length, they have the same centromere position, and they have the same set of genes. Now, I don't mean that the genes are the exact same. I'm just saying that on this chromosome, let's say we should have information about hair color, eye color, height, and teeth shape. Both chromosomes should have information concerning hair color, eye color, height, and teeth shape. Not that we'll necessarily get the same version. And what I mean by that is this chromosome, let's say we're talking about hair color. This chromosome could have information for blonde hair. This chromosome could have information for brown hair. They're both talking about hair color, but they're different varieties of hair color represented. The reason that we can have different varieties of a chromosome is because we get one chromosome from each parent. So we have the version we got from mom and the version we got from dad. Humans have 23 of these pairs. During DNA replication, we're going to make copies of each of those versions. And that's what you see happen here. We now have the copies of our version of the chromosome from mom, and we have the copies of the version we got from dad. We do this for all 46 chromosomes. Remember, we have 23 pairs. That's what a homologous chromosome is. It's a pair of chromosomes. So we have 46 chromosomes that we make copies of so that we can fully divide them. I'm going to leave off our discussion of meiosis here. In our next video, we're going to start talking about the phases of meiosis.